Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. And look at Gary, isn't he happy to see you? And we're happy to see him too. Lizardmen today going to be facing the vampire counts, so let's get straight to it. My forces are going to be led by the High Slon here. We're looking to control the skies with that Tempest. Of course, the vampire counts tend to bring zombie dragons and or terrorgeists in this matchup, so that Tempest is a really nice option to have. Apotheosis, of course, healing, always good. We've also got the Blood Statuette of Spite, kind of like Rune of Wrath and Ruin without the speed debuff. Has a pretty similar damage output, only 4 charges. We've also got the Aura of Pretzels, gives plus 30 armor and 27 melee defense in an area of effect when activated, very strong. Shield of the Old Ones, of course, and Banishment. And yeah, to support, we've got this Saurus Scarvet to kind of be a bodyguard here. The rest of the army is going to be a front line of 5 Skink cohort with javelins. We've got 2 Kroxigors, a Laser Lizard, which in my opinion is an essential pick against the vampires. It's one of your only options for true magic damage. The Slon also does magic damage in melee, so he's good at going after ethereal units, although he's not really a combat character. But in general, you want to try and hit them with that good old laser. We've also got another Saurus Scarvet, this time on a Carnosaur, just to act as the, distraction, Carnifex type deal. And then one more Skink Skirmisher over on the side. For my opponent's vampire counts, he's got good old Manfred von Karstein, Voldemort here up with the Zombie Dragon. He's got just Invocation of Nehek and Wind of Death. 2 units of Karen Wraiths, which ethereal units are not great right now in general. Against the Lizardmen, though, since they generally don't have a lot of direct magic damage, the Karen Wraiths are a pretty good option. The Slon are a great counter to that, though. In the generic Slon in particular, with that Blood Statuette of Spite, they also have Banishment and magic attacks themselves, so they can deal with ethereal units pretty well, and are one of the few units you have that can reliably do so, in addition to the Solar Engine, of course, but don't totally disagree with this pick, although thankfully I do have the tools to deal with them. He's got some Graveguard as well, Skeleton Spears, of course, some zombies up front, and your obligatory 2 units of a Blood Knights over here. Very strong pick against Lizardmen, of course, with their massive charge bonus, huge anti-large bonus as well, 22, which is massive, 110 armor, good speed, good combat stats, just the cream of the crop pretty much when it comes to elite tier cavalry. And yeah, without further ado, let's get the battle underway. There are also some Black Knights over here, Lances and Barding. Unfortunately, not the Regiment of Renown, which I personally am a big fan of. But these guys are also pretty solid. They don't have the best combat stats, but 62 charge bonus with 110 armor is pretty legit. You can see we're going to be screening them out with the Skink Skirmishers here, and I'm also bringing the Saurus Scarvet over to intercept. And we're bringing the Skink Skirmishers kind of over towards the lines as well. Meanwhile, Manfred's thinking about getting closer here. The Slon is actually hidden between these 2 trees here, as is the Saurus Scarvet, so they are currently invisible to my opponent. But you can see George, the Solar Engine, blasting away at the Karen Race, already doing some good damage, taking down about 10 unit models from a unit that only has 45 to begin with, is pretty solid. Meanwhile, these Black Knights got the south end of the Carnosaur there, which was pretty rough. But now we're going to go ahead and drop the first Tempest, and Manfred does what he should and dives down here. Unfortunately, the Tempest hits him just before he hits the ground. If Manfred was able to actually get on the ground before the Tempest went off, he would take no damage from it and not be affected at all. But ooh, love to see those match combat animations between the Carnosaur and the Dragon. One of the few monster duos that does have some cool match combat animations. And, looks like some more match combat animations here. Manfred's taken a ton of damage here. That Tempest did apply its damage, and then the Carnosaur also getting some really good attacks there. So, yeah, he's going to try and pull away. Meanwhile, the Kroxigors are munching through the Graveguard, although Kroxigors don't have the best melee defense. You can see them just tossing these skeletons around. Oh, just love these guys. But yeah, they don't necessarily have the best melee defense, so they will get worn down over time, especially with the vampires healing. Gary doing his job in the front line as well. And where did those Blood Knights get off to? They're way in the corner of the map here, hidden in the woods, taking their sweet time getting all the way around. But this is probably a smart idea, honestly, beside the fact that they're not really able to support Manfred, which in and of itself is pretty tough. Looks like a Wind of Death potentially going down on Skinks. That's If it's an overcast, that's a huge waste of Winds of Magic, but I'm not 100% sure that was overcast. Even if it wasn't, I'm not sure that was worth it in terms of magic, but Manfred tries to come down to go after the Slaanesh, but both the Scarvets on station to support, and yeah, Manfred definitely uncomfortable right now. Going to be using that invocation to heal himself back up, of course, and he does get back up into the air. That blind effect is being perpetually applied by the solar engine, of course. That minus 26 melee attack, 27 melee defense. We do catch him with another Tempest here as well, and I missed it, but a banishment went off in the front line there. It just wrecked a whole bunch of these skeletons. That being said, skinks are getting dragged down. They'll trade pretty well against the skeletons, especially with the monstrous support here. But these Croc scores over on this side are starting to get dragged down a little bit, and a nice side charge from these Blood Knights is going to finish them off here. Blood Knights, of course, with their anti-large and massive charge bonus, will be able to bring them down. Meanwhile, Manfred managed to survive everything. The Tempest, the Solar Engine blasting him, he's still alive. Dropped a nice breath attack there on the Slaanesh, and now just going to be pulling back in general, trying to get out of range of the Tempest, and continuing to drop just the regular invocations on himself. Ooh, a swing and a miss there, but actually that might have made contact. It does look like it applied blind there, so yeah, so far so good. Balance power still pretty even, though. There are some Black Knights coming back around here. The monsters are trying to mash out in the center a little bit, but honestly at this point I should probably be potentially going after these Can Race. I just figured, you know, the monsters have high enough weapon strength that they can deal with the Can Race. Unfortunately, my Carnosaur does get caught out here, and you can see I dropped the Tempest. Unfortunately for me, this time Manfred is indeed on the ground, so you can see the Tempest is not affecting him at all. Very unfortunate. Big waste of Winds of Magic, big overcast. Well, I guess it's not that much Winds of Magic, but still. Definitely well played by my opponent there to get down, and you can see they are going to drag that Carnosaur down. We're going to pop that Apotheosis to try and keep him online here, but the Blood Knights and Manfred are just incredibly strong melee presence. They are going to be able to bring him down here, which is unfortunate, but we've still got the Slaanesh and we've still got the other Scarvet. You can see I put the Slaanesh in melee against the Cairn Race here, since he has magic attacks, of course. He'll be able to blow up the spooky ghosts, and looks like he maybe potentially got a couple there. Unfortunately, this did put him at risk for those Blood Knights. We've got Gary on station to potentially help out as well. Another breath attack, though, damaging him up a little bit. And Manfred, of course, is going to come down and try and finish the Slaanesh here. Very dangerous situation. The Scarvet tries to come in to support here, but he's actually pathed on Manfred, and the Blood Knights are blocking him. A little bit unfortunate, but I am potentially going to lose the Slaanesh here, and you can see that's shifted the balance of power pretty badly. Seeing that I might potentially lose my Slaanesh here, I decided to go ahead and unleash the final banishment. These Temple Guard are slugging it out here with the Blood Knights, and the Temple Guard have mostly just been held in reserve until the late game. I actually might have even failed to mention them at the beginning, but anyway, they're being super clutch now. I've been dumping some Revification Crystals in them as well. They're dragging down the Blood Knights. That banishment did a ton of damage as well, so they should be able to spring the Blood Knights free, but unfortunately, you can see the Slaanesh did shatter here, and he is actually going to get taken down, so he falls off his chair and beams back up to wherever the Slaanesh go. And with that, yeah, things are looking a little bit grim, but we did rally some of the Croxagors here to come help out against the Blood Knights. Gary's fighting as well. The Saurus Scarvet also still fighting, so he's holding the leadership here all together, and the Temple Guard are going to come in as well. Manfred's got a tough decision now. Does he go after Gary, or does he go after George? He decides to go after George, the Solar Engine here. That does mean that the Temple Guard are immediately going to reverse and go ahead and start getting attacks into the back of Manfred. Temple Guard have pretty good weapon strength. Unfortunately, they are being poisoned right now by the friendly fire, which is pretty much unavoidable as Lizardmen. But yeah, they do have pretty heavy weapon strength. They're able to do some good damage to Manfred in here. And Gary, seeing that Brother George is being bullied, comes over and gets a good rear attack on Manfred as well. You can see the Ghosts, unfortunately, not able to hold their leadership up, at least one of the units. The Blood Knights, though, still relatively healthy. We do have some Croxagors and some Skinks potentially going to be rallying here, but the Blood Knights looking to pull away to try and take advantage of their charge bonus, and also not just sit and sustain combat against these Temple Guard, of course. I'm going to use the Scarvet to kind of pursue here and interrupt. You can see he takes down a couple of unit models there as well. Of course, he's got anti-large AP, and is honestly going to be pretty good against the Blood Knights in combat here. I'm also just forcing the Temple Guard, who are getting another Rev Crystal, to forcing them after the Blood Knights, try and drag them down, but my opponent, seeing what I'm doing a very good job keeping his Blood Knights out in front. We did cast the last charge of Cold-Blooded on that solar engine, so it did manage to heal up a little bit as it was routing. Manfred turning his attention back to the main pocket here does mean that the solar engine is going to come back online. Unfortunately, the Blood Knights are going to go finish it off here, but it should be able to get a few more shots. Meanwhile, Manfred dives here, and I've rallied together the last of my skinks, particularly the blowpipes here. The skink skirmishers are going to be very good, just applying some nice continuous poison and missile pressure against Manfred. And when he's so low like this, you know, every bit of damage that I can get on him is going to be worthwhile. The cannon rates are just about gone here, only 8 models left, and they're quickly crumbling to the Temple Guard here, and now there's pretty much just this Grave Guard left and Manfred. So what was looking really bad just a minute ago, we've been able to, you know, sit and sustain. The Lizardmen are one of the stronger, grinded out, kind of attritional style factions, as are the vampires, of course. So in this particular one, the Lizardmen so far at least have been able to sustain, and right here the Sora Scarvet is getting a few very key attacks into the back of Manfred, actually gets him down below 1000 HP. You can see the Croc scores are also back on station, and these Graveguard are not happy. They're getting mashed on by Gary. The Temple Guard are going to go ahead and form a blocking force here. Go ahead and block up the Blood Knights, so pretty much best case scenario for me. You can see the Sora Scarvet comes in and domes a few more Blood Knights here. And yeah, Manfred, not sure where Manfred, oh there he is, comes down to try and finish off the Sora Scarvet. He's going to get a good attack there. That charge animation does a lot of damage. But I am going to be able to pull away here, thankfully. There are still some Croxagors, you know, blocking things up, even if they are shattered. Solar Engine is still online, actually. It looks like the Blood Knights did not take it off, which means it is going to apply that blind effect. And here comes the Sora Scarvet to finish it off, apply the killing blow to Manfred. He goes down, and with that, the last of the Blood Knights are going to crumble as well. So very well played to my opponent. It was a super close battle at the end. You know, definitely a lot of back and forth, and at the end of the day, Lizardmen able to sustain and weather the storm there. So, yeah, in terms of the army breakdown, the Distraction Carnosaur definitely did its job of being a distraction. It was also able to get a lot of damage done against Manfred. He did eventually get to his healing cap, which kudos to my opponent there for being able to get Manfred back up into the air and keep him healed. He was able to get him to his healing cap, but again, anytime you're facing the vampires, obviously you don't want them to get to their healing cap if you can prevent it, but if they do end up getting to their healing cap, you know you've done a lot of damage, and so you want to try and get damage done as early and as quickly as possible. So yeah, the Sora Scarvet definitely did well in that. In terms of the late game, of course, the Temple Guard coming in super clutch, got an XP share around 132 kills, dragged down a whole bunch of Blood Knights, did a ton of damage to Manfred as well. The Slan himself got 78 with the 2 banishments, and yeah, the Tempest as well, of course, applying continuous damage to Manfred, and the Apotheosis doing some good healing as well. The fact that Gary was able to hang around until the late game, this Revification Crystal here, was super clutch as well. Being able to heal those Temple Guard, particularly in the late game, and keep them nice and healthy, good at high leadership, so they weren't at risk of being terrified. Yeah, that was very key as well. For my opponent, the Cairn Race actually ended up doing okay. You know, despite all the counters I had to them, they hung around until the late game and were able to get some decent damage done, especially against, like, the Croxagors. 108 kills on the Black Knights with Lances and Bardings, not bad either. And both the Blood Knights did quite well, of course, also. Manfred, despite the fact he took some really rough engagements to the face, able to get 63 kills and still last until the late game there. So yeah, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.